Just to make it 28-3. Arthur Blank loving it. Up by 25. Toss to White. He's in! What a comeback!
All right, welcome to another episode of the 28-3 podcast. We are licking our wounds.
Yeah, once again.
I'm not liking this feeling every single Monday or Tuesday.
No, it's like licking our wounds is just kind of becoming part of the intro now.
God.
So yeah, just like we all kind of, jokingly said, but basically predicted it, before Thursday, we were like, yeah, watch, here comes Sean Payton. He's going to put the death nail into Dennis Allen by kicking our ass and embarrassing us in the Dome, and that's exactly what happened. I think we were hopeful that that wouldn't happen, or that even if we took an L, that we would have at least put up a fight, but that was not what happened on Thursday. We're recording this several days after
we needed
game.
some time off.
We needed some time off. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about, but I think that game, while we'll talk about the game to an extent, it kind of brings into focus just how big the issues are with this team. How, I don't think we can say that this is a good football team. The injuries obviously play a part, but there was just, we've talked about it before, and y'all know that I've harped on it. This is a defensive head coach whose defenses have historically been high performing. Even if they allow a decent amount of yards, they're still holding teams to low scores or keeping them to field goals. That appears to be out the window. And yes, the defense did have injuries, but what we're seeing out of this defense is terrible. It's demoralizing. And it's, don't get me wrong, it's a complete team debacle that's happening right now. But even if our offense wasn't a mash unit, even if we had more than three or four of our week one starters available, this defense would make it hard for an entirely healthy offense to keep up with other teams.
Yeah, no, bear in mind, the defense is not 100% healthy either. It's not the mash unit that the offense is.
Not
but
even close.
The Pete Werner absence, we've talked about it, is a big hole in the defense. Chase Young, honestly, yeah, he gets pressures, but so did Davenport. He really hasn't been good. We were looking at the grades that Jeff Duncan posted. I think that was this morning, right?
Yeah.
That you sent over to me. And Brzee is the worst-rated player on the defense so far through, 7 games? I mean, that's crazy.
And that's where we're getting killed. So that actually translates. Sometimes those grades are ridiculous. But
yeah.
While he's gotten a few, positive reps pass rush-wise, I know he's got 4 sacks. I text Max earlier today. One of my biggest takes before the season was I thought Chase Young and Brzee would take a big leap for us, change the defensive line, give depth to the defensive line, making it a strength rather than a weakness. It's a massive weakness right now. There's no pass rush.
Granderson's played well.
He's played okay. He's 19th ranked, I guess, on those numbers that we were looking at too. But I would also say where you say Granderson made a big difference in 2 games, probably the first 2. What have you seen from him in the last 4 during the streak? You haven't seen Granderson either.
He's been pretty quiet. Yeah.
Chase Young, him though when everybody else is doing nothing.
I hear you. Yeah. He's not a catastrophe, but it's not like he's excelling either.
Yeah.
Chase Young has been terrible. I mean, another missed sack where he was clearly there. That's going to count as a pressure, and that was a first down for them. Yeah. And that's why I say the pressures don't mean anything. If you have a guy in your grasp and you don't tackle him, that's a bad play. That's not a good – that doesn't rank as a pressure and put you up the season leaders. That's a mistake. Yep. So he's been terrible. To me, that's been the huge weakness. With Werner going out, maybe he was covering up a little bit of the deficiencies in that defensive line, but the defensive line's been absolutely terrible. There's no debate. The run defense is historically bad for a Dennis Allen. This is the worst run defense I've ever seen with him as defensive coordinator. And I agree with Corey in the sense that falls on DA. I don't think you can say, we lose one linebacker and we can't defend the run anymore. That you have to be able to do something scheme-wise to make it where we're not getting 150-plus yards every game since the Werner injury. The secondary, we knew this was going to potentially be a ugly game. Bo Nix plants a ball off of Honey Badger's chest, which, I mean, I've never seen him drop a ball like that.
No.
It couldn't have been a worse throw.
Some people, were saying that Bo Nix throws such a bad ball that it can't even be intercepted.
Right. I mean, it was that bad. And the whole field was in front of him, and that's a 13-3 game. He's for sure getting us in the field goal range. Who knows? Could he house it? Could he get us down to the 10 and we somehow get in there and we go in 13-10? Completely different game. Maybe some momentum shift there. Instead, we go into halftime with a drop pick and another field goal from Lutz, and we're down 13. Game was over at that point. We all knew it. We were there. Corey was watching. We knew it was over going in at halftime and going into the Breeze thing. I thought we would have had more fight than we did just because of that. I did not think we'd score in that game. We didn't. But I didn't think we'd give up 30-plus again, and we shouldn't have. Bo Nix was not good.
He's terrible.
He wasn't even good in the game. Yeah. They just handed the ball off and just 5 yards this all the way down the field. He'd pick up an occasional, 3rd and 6 when they got behind it. There was nothing impressive about it. Another offense giving up a touchdown. Let's factor that into this defense number. We had another fumble 6 in this game. So, but, them giving up 27 points to a Denver team with Bo Nix who didn't even play well.
I mean, there's not enough negative adjectives to put behind this defense. It's like, and y'all talked about when we were texting during the game how, the offense isn't allowing this defense to get off the field. But to me, it's bigger than that. And the biggest reason is that this defense cannot stop the run. They did a decent job of it, I guess, maybe the first 2 weeks and weeks 3 and 4, except for the one long Saquon run in the Eagles game.
Yeah, they otherwise shut down Saquon, really.
Right. But something has happened because it's not like besides losing Warner, the defensive line actually got healthier over the past few weeks. The defensive line isn't missing anybody.
Well, Turner was missing until this week as a rotational player.
Right.
But agree.
But your guys in the middle who are supposed to be the ones that we're depending on to do the same things that they did last year early on in the season to stop the run, they cannot do it. And that's why, to me, this defense is just blowing any opportunity for the team as a whole. I mean, I was texting with y'all that Denver had 200 yards before the fourth quarter, which is just insane.
Of what? Rushing, you mean?
Rushing,
okay, yeah.
200 yards rushing before the fourth quarter. And they're a team that hasn't really had much success running the ball this year. Same thing with Tampa Bay.
To be fair, 75 of it was Nix, which has been a problem for us forever.
Okay, fair, but 125 yards in 3 quarters from the running backs.
It's not good.
Have not been good running backs this year, and so when you allow that, you create the time. You're hurting yourself on defense. Like there's the time of possession thing. Like the defense has been on the field all game, but when you're the unit that's allowing all these rushing yards to happen, all these first downs to keep, checking off the scoreboard, all the time to come off, you're hurting yourself. You're keeping yourself on the field longer than you should. And, the offense didn't do much or didn't do anything in this game when they had it. They're banged up front. Offense can't run the ball with those 3 interior backups that we have down a third string at one of the guards during that game. So we're not able to run the ball, eat up the clock. But the defense has to do a better job of at least maybe cutting those drives in half. Even if you're going to, one of them's a touchdown here and there, one of them's a field goal, they need to figure out something to stop this run, stop the run game, because, we can talk about the fact that the offense can't sustain drives. And, of course, there's a factor to defensive player fatigue. That is a thing, of course. But, at the same time, when you're not doing it on the front end, because, we saw it in the first quarter, second quarter, you shouldn't, even if you're on the field for the entirety of the first half, you shouldn't be so tired to where you can't play football. I mean, these guys were just out of position, no technique to speak of from the front 7. And at that point, once you allow the other team to go up, it turns your offense to being one-dimensional. We have a hard time being one-dimensional when it's a full slate of dudes in there with Derek Carr behind center. And so now you're making a rookie behind a terrible offensive line have to be a strictly passing offense while you're, putting on this charade of thinking we can run the ball. It just doesn't work.
I agree and disagree on that. I think you do underestimate it a little bit, and the fact that we are an old defense as well. But I do agree you cannot allow 200 yards rushing in 3 quarters. You just can't. There's no.
I don't care how bad your offense is doing. You can't do it.
But here's how we started the game in drives: 4 plays, 3 plays, 11 plays, field goal, not bad. 3 plays, 3 plays, 3 plays, 3 plays. Dude, I mean, we can say it doesn't matter, but you're literally walking off the sideline and coming right back on.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all, but it's, to me, that is not an excuse for me for allowing because they were just gashing you. You know, the lack of quality for the defensive play wasn't what you would see from those poor NFL, those poor professional football players are tired, man. And yeah, we do have an aging defense, and we can put that on Mickey Loomis and not so much Dennis Allen or the players themselves if they're really giving 100% effort. I mean, well, actually, I take that. I'm not going to ever question like the effort of an NFL player, but whatever's going on between their ears, whether it's lack of focus, lack of drive, something was amiss to allow Denver to continuously do what they did when they had the ball.
Let me say this. I think we can't assign blame to one side of the ball because we've all watched every game this season. Take away weeks 1 and 2, it has been a total team effort for the fuckery that we have seen. Because
both sides have been bad.
Go back to the Atlanta game where the offense, what was it? The defense didn't give up half of the points in the Falcons game. We had
Shaheed.
Yeah, Shaheed fumbles it.
And then the tip ball that went
for a touchdown.
30 yards downfield, right, for a touchdown.
Yeah, so it's like so that's where they're 2-5. Mm-hmm. Okay, so take away the 2 games, there's 5 other games. Those 5 games are split almost evenly between the offense and the defense fucking up. It is a total team effort for us being this bad.
Yeah.
Now, obviously of late, the defense has been atrocious and we can't make any excuses for how they performed. But the offense was doing us no favors before.
Agree, but the one thing that coincides with all of this is Carr getting hurt. When has the defense gotten destroyed? Twice. Like, actually destroyed. Now, they weren't great, I agree, but they held in.
They were
like you
horrible.
said, the Atlanta game, they did their job in the Atlanta game.
Yeah.
You can't say in the Eagles game, they
did their
absolutely
job.
did their job.
Take away the 2 plays.
Yeah, and my commentary on the defense is more about what we've seen over the last 2 weeks. Like what has happened.
Right, I'm looking at the totality of this season, the 2-5 start.
If you take
the blame is well shared.
The Eagles game overall,
they played well.
It was a decent performance by the defense, and I say decent because you allowed the huge third down conversion where Howden decided to run up and tackle Honey Badger so that.
Yeah, but bear in mind, the offense could do nothing in that game.
And you had the long run from Saquon.
Right, but remember, the offense did nothing in that game.
I know the offense did nothing, but there comes a point
15
where you
points,
have to stop.
That's a win for the defense, in my opinion.
Right.
We can analyze it every play. Those are bad plays, no question. 15 points is 15 points.
But here's what I'm not doing. I'm not giving the defense a pass because it's terrible offense.
No. No one's asking you to give the defense a pass.
What I'm
saying is both units and the special teams, all 3 units are equally to blame for this 2-5 start.
The offense in the Eagles game is an example. They couldn't overcome their own deficiencies or they couldn't find a way to get creative enough, make the adjustments that we criticized.
They couldn't move the ball.
Criticized Kubiak on not finding a way to adjust to what the Eagles were bringing. And that was, besides McCoy, which, big loss in that game, you had Carr. Taysom was out. That's a huge loss. But, you couldn't figure out just enough. Get more than 15 points, But
see, you're looking at it from the last 2 games where you're like, yeah, the defense has fucked us. I'm looking at it from the last,
they did in the
last
2
5
games,
games
for sure.
where it's literally the blame is equally spread all across the board.
We would have had to score 52 and 30, whatever it was.
Yeah, but keep in mind, because the week before, the majority, it was a 1-score game in the 4th quarter with 11 minutes left.
And we started with a fumble 6. That's how we started the game. And it was a lead at halftime. The defense gave us 3 turnovers, a special teams touchdown. Yes, the second half they blew up, and for whatever reason, it's not. I'm not excusing it at all.
But there's context that's needed.
There's a little more to the equation, and we don't have. Neither side of our team is a dominant force.
I think
we all thought the defense would be better than they are,
yeah.
And we thought the offense would for sure be worse than it started. And I love people saying next man up and all that. There's no such thing, okay? You don't replace Chris Olave with Tipton and it's just okay.
No.
You don't replace Taysom Hill with anyone. There isn't another Taysom Hill, really.
Yeah.
You don't replace Carr with a 5th-round rookie, despite the fan love for him. You don't just do that and it not impact your team. You don't replace McCoy, who's been a Pro Bowler. You don't replace Ruiz with the depth that we have at line.
Yeah.
These things do impact the team, and we have to be honest about it. Now, do I think a coach should be able to scheme around some of that against a team like Denver? I do. I don't think Denver is such a good team that you couldn't put together a game plan to muddy up that game, find a way to score 17 and hold them to 13 or 16 points and try and win that game. Do I think that's more difficult against a better team? Yes. I don't think you're going in with that starting 11 on offense and winning a game against any good team in the NFL.
Yep.
I don't think Denver's that good of a team. So I felt there could have been a way, and the best way, stop the run, stop Bo Nix from scrambling, make him throw. We didn't do that. It was bad defensive performance. It was a bad scheme by Dennis Allen. Everything should have been to force Knicks to win that game for them, and we did none of that.
Yeah.
We made it very easy on him. So that's on him. That's on the defensive line not stopping the run, putting him in 3rd and long. 100% agree with you. But I think if you do broaden out the season and look at the 7 games, I can't say that the defense has cost us but these last 2 games. Everything else was at least, while it wasn't a great performance, we were there, right? We caused a turnover that gave us a chance. We had the ball to win a game.
It's 5 quarters that the defense has fucked us. It's not even 2 games, because for the Bucs game, they had the 3 interceptions in the second quarter. We took the lead.
Right.
And then in the fourth quarter, we were within a score. And that's when Rattler threw the interception.
Going into the fourth.
And then all of a sudden, the floodgates opened. In the fourth quarter, they gave up like 200 yards rushing.
Right.
It was insane. So
by no means have they been good.
Well,
They have not been good, but it's been 5 quarters where they have flat out fucked us.
You remember going into week 5, though.
What 5 quarters? So all 4 of Denver.
All 4 of Denver and the fourth quarter of Tampa.
In the first quarter. That first
the
quarter.
First quarter
Tampa ran straight through us in that first quarter.
Twice. 2 times. That's correct.
2 times.
The first touchdown was
17 to nothing.
Offense gave them a touchdown. We can't forget that.
Yeah.
The defense still got gashed right from jump.
Yeah, 2 touchdown drives. You're right. 100%.
But they also got 3 turnovers in the second quarter. They brought us back in that game.
Right. So I'm calling it first and fourth quarter of the Bucs game.
2 of them inside the 30.
Calling the first quarter.
Right.
That.
2 inside the 30. You got to. I'll give you the first quarter. I'll give you the first quarter. That's fine. But let's call it 6 quarters.
The first quarter is not the shit show that the fourth quarter was, or the entire last game.
Right, but
it
was still bad.
It wasn't awful. They did enough to come back.
Not 17-0 in the first quarter.
Corey, they got us back in the game.
In the second quarter.
Right.
So the first half was the first quarter.
Either way, it doesn't matter. We're calling that game a defensive meltdown anyway, right? Regardless.
Yeah.
So those 2 games, to me, are the 2 where what the hell happened to the defense is the conversation.
They allowed 44 points in the Bucs game total.
Agreed. But again, it was all in the fourth quarter essentially.
When what were our drives in the third quarter? Where it was like three plays. Hold on. It was 3 plays in the third quarter.
You allow 44
They literally
points.
got off the field and had to get back on the field.
A defense that allows 44 points in the NFL, to me, there's no but behind that.
There
you
is
allowed
a but.
44 points. You know, they and I'm not saying right like that.
You're trying to assign all the blame to the defense. I get that. You can't though.
The
last game, you can't say the last game.
The lion's
was
share of
awful.
the blame has to be on this defense for the last 2 games. It has to. Yes, they created turnovers against the Bucs. Baker also was responsible for kind of playing quarterback like a dipshit in that second quarter.
If we're being honest, they could have allowed 4 and we lose the Dennis game. Okay, we had 3 points until the garbage drive.
Yeah, I mean,
so
it takes
I'm not
2
just assigning all the blame to the defense.
I'm not either.
It takes
it's a total team effort. Everything has been subpar
the offense
over the last 5 games.
Deserves blame too. Yes, it takes 2 to tango, but we can't just look at the defense and say
You're not
Yeah.
listening. I have sat here and
No,
said
Max,
literally
I'm
the
fucking
entire
listening.
team is to blame for this. Offense, defense, special teams. Every single one of these units has fucked up at some point over the last 5 games.
Yeah, I think the current largest issue is the defense.
Oh, well, obviously
I know.
currently, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's the most
The
recent
largest
thing.
issue is the injuries.
Well, yeah, that's the
before the
largest
injuries,
issue.
we didn't look like this team from the last 2 weeks. The injuries have
Yeah.
compounded so greatly that it's gotten to where we're getting blown out by 20. The first 5 games, that wasn't the case. It
Yeah.
just wasn't. And even though they weren't great, I'm in agreement with Corey. They weren't great, but those games were close. All of them. Am I incorrect in that? Am I forgetting one?
No,
am
they
I,
were
am I
close.
having
No,
amnesia?
they were close. Yeah.
Even the Chiefs game, we had a chance to come back.
Yeah,
at
we
the
weren't.
end.
We weren't.
We weren't out.
And you can't blame the defense in the Chiefs game giving up 26 with no support. Like we didn't move the ball in that game either. We got mauled by that defense. We really did.
Yeah.
We weren't good on defense. We gave up way too many short passes. I think another bad game plan by DA, allowing Pat to take short passes and allowing Kelsey to catch everything when you know that's going to be the go-to option.
Well, that was the first game Warner was out, right?
right.
And we talked about it. That was a huge issue with regards to Kelsey.
So to me, the biggest issue is the injuries. Period.
Yeah, no, obviously.
This team doesn't go from looking like that for 2 weeks against one of them being a decent team. Obviously, they're not panning out to be a really good team this year, but I think they're 3-3. And then Carolina means nothing, but you don't put up 40 like that, and it'd be a fluke twice in a row.
Yeah.
The injuries is what changed the way the offense was operating.
Yeah.
Do I think the defense is a massive disappointment? I do. It is. I thought it was going to be a top of the league type of defense.
Yeah, but we saw glimpses in the first 2 weeks of, I guess, the potential weaknesses in the defense, because what did they do? They bend but didn't break multiple times, where they would let people go down to the red zone, but we were great
Agreed.
in the red zone the first couple
We were stopping
weeks.
touchdowns, but we
stopping
were giving up
touchdowns,
yardage.
but we were giving up yardage. So we knew the capability of the defense collapsing could be a thing if injuries popped up.
Yeah, and the car injury with Rattler coming in, and then you tell Rattler, okay, we're good. We're going to focus on Olave. He goes out on the second play or whatever, right? So you're giving him Tipton, Wilson,
Bub.
Now Shaheed's out. Bub is, but how is Bub's a starting receiver? All of a sudden, like it's not fair to Rattler. The offensive line issues aren't fair to him, but he's also in over his head. His clock would need to speed up exponentially to deal with the issues that they're giving him. And that's not fair to ask of a rookie, in my opinion. Less than 2.5 seconds to throw. Elite quarterbacks struggle with that. A fifth rounder is going to definitely struggle
I think
with
they
that.
said Breeze it's over his career, but he averaged like 2.7.
Yeah, I think they
that
say
was Breeze.
2.8's the number, right?
Yeah. That's like elite.
Right. Exactly.
And he had 2.5 to throw.
Right. And on something like 14, over half of his throws were under
Yeah.
2.5.
Yeah.
Something like that. So he would have to process and be just throwing the ball away constantly rather than try to make those plays that really killed us. But I don't think it's fair to expect a rookie to be able to do that.
You can't,
It's
especially
just-
a fifth-round rookie. He's
Right.
not ready.
So, I think the question is going forward. The defense is a huge question mark. I'll agree with Corey there. For the run game to be the way it is that's the most concerning part. Pass game, you can see a game here and there. People can get pass yards, a couple big plays. Next thing you know, they've thrown for 250 instead of 180, and it's. But when you're getting methodically run down the field with the run game, in the first half, right, when presumably the defense is now they held that game again. We should have had Honey Badger picks that off. We're probably going in 13-6 at a minimum. They held the game together for a little bit, and then they just could not fix the issue of just running the ball right at us with average running backs.
You can't win football games like that. You just can't. I mean, even if you have a great offense, it makes it really difficult to still win a football game when the other team has the ball, they're controlling the clock and scoring.
I know people are saying 100% effort is being given, but I swear there are some business decisions being made on defense. Because
I don't believe that too much. I think we overestimate how much these guys care about this and how much money they make for doing this. It does not benefit them to mail it in. It just doesn't.
I think it's more
not mail it in, but
if anything, it's more mental. What are they doing during the week to prepare? How much film are they watching? Because so much of the NFL, when you watch like the real experts, like the best guys in the biz break down film, they talk about, split seconds of positioning being the difference between stopping a play or letting a running back go by you. If you're like, alignment matters, and alignment as a defender is based on what the offense is showing you. And so when you're in the game, deciding where you're going to be aligned based on your scheme, based on what you're seeing from them, it's going to be, that depends on how much film you've watched, how much you've prepared, how much the coaches have presented to you during practice with the scout team. So to me, it just seems like a utter lack of preparation, just mental breakdowns, stuff like, because we've had pursuit issues. I mean, the tackling, Dennis Allen made a good point to note out, or he thought it was a good point. Hey, our tackling was better. We were down.
We only had 6.
We only had 6 missed tackles from 15. It's like, okay, well then you're proving it more that you're fucking up.
But to your point about
making the tackles in the right position.
The mental lapses, that's been all season across the board.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. You had Shaheed with the fumbled punt. You had Olave, lining up or going in motion still when the ball snapped. Shaheed did it
Multiple
the next
games.
week.
Yeah.
You got the defense running into each other on key plays. It's just mental mistake after mental mistake. Jamal Williams taking the kickoff.
Yeah, and the
stepping
rogue
out
one,
on the one and then going back in. It's like one thing after another.
And when they're rogue, like the instant we saw Shaheed muff the punt inside the 5, we're like, all right, that's on a player, right? But when you see them happening over and over and over again on multiple levels, phases, from special teams defense all the way to offense, and they continue to happen, they're a consistent thing. That's when you go to coaching, and you're like, what are we doing in preparation? Are we just thinking we know this team, we know Sean Payton, we know what they do, so
I'll be honest with you, I just think that offensive line was better than our defensive line. I don't think we have a good defensive line, and I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I told you that was my one take, big one from thinking that Young and Brzee would put big years up, and they have been terrible. We need to acknowledge that.
It's looking like almost every offensive line we face is going to be better than us.
Just watch the line of scrimmage. Yeah. We're getting blown away, especially in the middle.
One of the announcers said it during the game on Thursday that Denver was ranked near the bottom in yards before contact, and I want to say at one point during the game they were like, it was like 5 yards before contact.
So we've got breaking news. It looks like the Saints and Alvin Kamara have agreed on a 2-year, $24.5 million contract extension.
Wow.
So he's still a top 5 paid running back.
I wonder what the details are, how much of it is guaranteed. Because that seems to be a market rate for total.
There's no way they were letting him go.
Well, he's come out and said he wants to be here.
Someone asked me today, like, so Alvin's gone. I'm like, no, he's not. They won't let him go.
And at least that shores
I hope that's not a whole bunch more guaranteed money. I really do. I love him, but
half of it's gonna. I bet you half. But 2 years.
So this is 2 years.
Minimum half's gonna be guaranteed.
This is 2 years at basically what his cap figure was going to be next year. I would guess what.
At least half of it's gonna be guaranteed.
12 is probably 10 or 12.
That's fine.
That's fine.
I'm fine with that.
And incentives, I'm sure.
And I hope he outperforms it. But there's no way they were letting him go. The team, they need some sort of anchor.
And it was starting to bubble up. I'm glad they kind of put that shit to bed, because everybody, we saw the goddamn shit show that was Mike Thomas being unhappy towards the end of his contract and tweeting and all that shit. I'm not saying AK would never have done what MT did, but when you had the rumors starting, your team's doing bad, no one's going to look happy on the damn sideline during the 5th loss in a row when the game's out of hand.
Correct.
So people are like, oh, Alvin doesn't look happy. He looks
Alvin
upset.
told Peyton, come get me.
He must want to trade. It's like, dude, what? You expect him to be shining his grill with diamonds and everything when we're down 30?
If he was smiling, everybody's saying, I can't believe AK was smiling.
Right. So
relax.
At least the extension now helps put some of the stuff that can really bring a team down.
Yeah, and look, you just highlighted, which is the biggest issue with social media. It gives everybody a voice. Yeah. And, obviously we're happy that we have a voice that we can record this and distribute it. But at the same point, the majority of the people who are doing the chirping probably don't need to be talking.
Keyword on record for us.
Yeah.
That's
because
my job.
Look, the average fan doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's like these spur-of-the-moment reactions to news like, oh, he doesn't want to be here. Look, he hugged Sean Payton. He's telling him to come get him. It's like, Shut the fuck up.
like,
you don't know what you're talking
If you saw the
about.
pictures from Drew Brees' Saints Hall of Fame induction, there were pictures of all of the former Saints coaches that are now with the Broncos taking pictures of Gale Benson. There was like 7 dudes in Broncos shirts behind Gale. And that doesn't mean that Drew wishes he would.
Remember
leave
when
Denver.
Devontae Adams, the trade talk first came out, and there was people going around on Twitter like, "Oh, he hates Derek Carr. He would never come here." And then it comes out where Devontae's like, "Oh yeah, I want to play for the Saints or the Jets."
He was wearing a Fresno State shirt on the
fucking friends.
The interview with Kay Adams. Like
They're friends.
Yeah.
They take trips and shit.
Yeah,
it's just the average person just regurgitates shit they hear on a message board or a Discord, and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Jets have no injuries in
it's
the
either
same record.
the average person or the call it the vocal minority.
And they lost to the Steelers on both teams
He did, yeah.
last year.
But the issue is look, we all consume it, but when the people that are putting the wild takes out there, when
Sources.
when they get interactions, it feeds the beast.
Yeah, it's funny. Why don't we go over the predictions? Kind of see where I don't think any of us got anything right.
We were all pretty consistent. I had it 12-11. Max had it 19-17. Corey had it 17-12.
This was the closest I was to picking a loss, and I should have done.
We all took Saints, though, right?
Yeah, we all said they would win a terrible game. I think we all agreed it was
a terrible
going to be awful to watch. It was. Max had Taysom, and I told you I didn't think he'd play. Then you picked Jawan. I had AK, and Corey had Rattler.
Yeah, that was not a good choice.
Who are we giving it to, Hainer?
Who was the worst out of those 3?
Well, there's no MVP.
The way this season's going, we're gonna have to start picking like.
There's no MVP on either
There's
side.
no
of the
MVP.
We're gonna have to start picking LVPs for least valuable player.
I had Lattimore with a turnover.
Be easier to award.
They did not have to throw the ball, so except Honey Badger, y'all both picked Honey Badger.
And if he would have caught the damn ball and housed it, he would have been it.
Yeah,
and
it would have been the one bright spot on the defense.
Maybe the game would have looked different, but he dropped the easiest pick he's ever had in his career. So he's certainly not MVP. Defensively,
you were right. I think it's a wash.
Another just wash week.
Yeah.
I listened to Underhill's pod the other day. They picked Cedric Wilson, I think.
Because he caught an end-of-game touchdown. There's no MVP.
God.
No, he had like 4 catches or 5 catches.
He had
or
6 for
something.
57, but 3 of them I think were on the last 2 drives. The Rattler one and then that.
Give it to Hainer, you coward.
Did not that
He had
be an
30
MVP.
yards. I'm not giving it to Hainer.
Did Penning have a decent game? Because I feel like a lot of the sacks came from Fuaga's side.
Fuaga had a bad game.
That was surprising.
Yeah, he had a bad game.
Okay, our running backs were, let's see, we had 16 carries for 63 yards.
I think we can just go ahead and put this one to rest. There is no MVP on offense.
You don't get beat by 20 and have an MVP. I'm just going to make that rule right now. We've done it 2 weeks in a row. If you lose by 20, there wasn't an MVP.
Yeah, agree.
Unless we turn something
Ratify
around,
it, turn it in, we're good.
There might be a lot of those left in our future, unless we change something. Unless we fix that defense, Max.
And the offense.
Yeah.
But injuries are fucking both of them. Let's be real. The offense scored 40
fucking
points
the
in
offense
first 2 weeks.
much more than the defense, but
It's hurting the defense, dude. Who's our starter?
What's the odds of Carr coming back? He was very cryptic about him being able to make it this week.
Next week, I think they feel good about him.
He said 100% for Panthers, basically.
Who's the other safety we're missing?
Harris.
You saw the list with the strike-throughs of offense? Like, the defense does not look like that.
No, but the defense is still injured as well. That's why
but
38% of our team is on the injured list.
And we lost another starter during the game, so we lost
the offense is more fucked than the defense. Now, hopefully,
I'm not arguing against that.
Okay.
I'm just saying the defense
Sounded
has
like
been
you were,
hit.
so just
No,
making sure.
you're
Just
overly
making sure.
sensitive to the offense these
not
days for some
sensitive,
reason.
just making sure. I just don't like the idea of...
You trying to start pushing the A word again?
No, it's not that. It's just...
Third time's a charm?
Look, it's a little...
You picking him as MVP?
No, I can't.
That's next episode.
No, but when I say this defense is trash and the first response is the offense sucks, I'm like...
Corey, the team is trash. The whole fucking team.
Yeah.
Offense, defense, special team. It's all trash.
We all admit... So the
I have
defense is
said this
included in that.
consistently. Corey, I've said it consistently the whole episode. Offense, defense, special teams, all suck. Which would imply that the entire team sucks, which we do.
Sure.
It's all bad.
I think
the coaching's bad.
I think
Everything.
if people had expectations after Carr went out that we would
People
somehow
did.
keep. I know they did, and I don't understand that because, like I told y'all with the Tampa game, I don't know how people thought we could win that game with who we were rolling out there. You can't just sub good players with below average players and it not impact your team. You're going to need some luck. You even said you picked the Bucs, and you even said we're going to need special teams touchdown, defensive. That's the only like we all
And we
know
got
that.
it.
Yeah,
And we still got rolled.
got the special team one. Yeah,
And like we think rationally until we think, okay, but we're going to still win. But you can't just say that. Like next man up is a ridiculous statement
Yeah,
when you're talking
I
about
agree with
half
that.
your starters.
No, and look, let me defend Corey and I from that episode because you weren't on that preview episode. We can think logically and rationally
right.
on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Once it got to Friday, and you start thinking, you're like, oh, man, Aaron Brooks, he came in, beat the defending Super Bowl champions in St. Louis, first
It
start.
was,
the story's there. Let's just go with it.
new quarterback with the live arm coming in.
Right.
But what I'm saying is your defense of that pick, which I'm fine with, whatever, the pick's the pick. Your defense of the pick was, we need to get lucky. That's
Well, I think
And it happened. We had it.
that's why
Kick return, 3 interceptions.
That's why I went back to the defense in that game, because I think once the offense had the ball, even with the short fields that Tampa Bay was giving us, we did what we had to do, scoring 27 points in a quarter. We got
The only problem is they only scored 27
or 20
points.
or -7 with the Shaheed run back.
minus
But-
7 and getting one ball on the 10 and one on the 28.
But they did what they had to do, and so that's why it's like they
the
put
defense did what they had to do in the first half or the second quarter.
the second quarter,
The
right?
second quarter.
And
The problem is,
But that's-
neither unit did anything in the
the
half.
the second half was a total team loss.
10 points off 3 turnovers, not great. Especially with the field position you got. I'm not going to give the offense credit for
I'm not
for
either.
that.
But I'm not defending the defense either. They were terrible.
right. I just
It was
think
all bad.
It's
I think we're beating a dead horse here. I'm just, for the record, I'm saying the entire team
Okay.
sucks.
okay.
Offense, defense, special teams, all of them are to blame. They are all equally culpable in this mess of a last 5 games.
So now we know we've lost Shaheed for the year. We've lost, since I think we last talked about it, we didn't know that. We are lost to Debo for the year.
Yep.
Broken
Just
femur.
without getting into the
Crazy.
game detail of next week, but going forward, people we think might be coming back soon.
Caesar,
Taysom,
Lucas Patrick.
Patrick
That's
should
2
be
starters.
back.
That's 2. No, he was
Because
active.
he was on the he was on the
He was
sideline.
active,
He was
so-
dressed, so you would think he's ready.
Taysom.
Carr this week coming or the following week. Who else? Am I missing somebody? Olave's back. Should be back. They said.
I think he's still in concussion protocol.
Well,
But they
he
said he's gonna
was
play.
before. You have to go through an entire practice to come out of it, and so he's still in concussion protocol was before they actually had a practice.
I haven't read much today, so I don't know.
He's gonna. They said he's gonna be back.
It was before they had a practice because
Yeah.
So you think you get him back. Now you lose Shaheed, despite his flaws this year, is a dynamic kick and punt returner, and he was our deep threat. So
Yeah.
that's a hit. So even getting Olave back, we're still looking at an Olave, Bub Mean, Cedric Wilson, Valdez Scantling, I guess, signed today. He becomes our deep threat. Whether that's an even trade-off or not on offense, just looking at offense, I don't know. I don't think it is.
He sucks. I mean, I'm sorry. He's not good.
He can get deep, though.
He
So
can get deep.
He can take
He's
the jump
big.
off.
is he
too.
better than Cedric Wilson?
Yes. I think he's better than Cedric Wilson. I don't think he's better than Shaheed.
Is he better than Tipton?
You're better than Tipton.
Yes. I mean, you saw
Tipton's faster than me.
Tipton had a chance to make a couple plays. And
I'd like to see you race him.
I would not. I could see me race because he'd be in front of me the whole time.
And Pete's the big one. So
Pete Warner.
Pete comes back,
Yeah.
we believe, next week. So with a defense that's essential, we're going to plug in Kool-Aid for Adebo. Not much else changes. That's the good thing. You just drafted a guy you believed that was a starter, quality player.
22 mil
Yeah, so he's-
guaranteed on Kamara out of the 24.
So
So we
they're keeping it
overpaid him again.
11 a year, just like he's got now.
Top 5. It's top 5 in the league still. So I know we love him, but
That's
you look at the Cam contract and the Love signing can get you.
I mean, I'm laughing because it's like we guarantee 22.23 out of the 24.5. We couldn't just go ahead and do the
Is it? Does that?
remaining, what,
does it,
12.7?
1.7.
I mean, 1.7, yeah. just
So
give them the whole
that's
thing
gonna. That's
guaranteed.
all
It's all guaranteed
on
basically.
top of what he's already got.
Did it?
No, I think it takes the place of it.
So is it through 25 or 26? What did it say? 2 years.
It's through 26.
Okay,
It's
so
two new,
Yeah,
it's
so
two
it's
years.
all on top of it.
Yeah.
So it is
Yeah.
on top, but it gets rid of his
Well,
previous year.
It's on top of this year.
Next year.
Next
Right.
year is the bad one, which it got rid of.
Right.
It basically
So
split
Right.
next year over two.
Right,
is what
right,
it looks
right.
like.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, that's better than
You had to do something. I mean, is it? Do we want that much guaranteed going to the guy
Honestly,
with the
we're-
issues? But I think
Look, we're screwed over
I
the
will
next 2
say
years
fine,
anyway.
fine work by his agent. Well done
That's fine.
to Kamara's agent.
Look, I'm fine with it. I
But-
listened to Underhill's. He did a solo, Twitter Spaces or whatever the hell it's called on like Saturday morning, and I just happened to catch it. And he was going on and on about like basically it was like a 2 or 3 year window. He's like,
Yeah.
he's like realistically, if they do everything right, you could get to like 27 and be competitive.
It's a
Just talking about getting the cap.
yeah.
And I mean, honestly, fuck it.
Look-
Let Kamara be here for the next 2 years. They cut his salary next year, basically.
I
in
hate all
half.
that stuff though too because we were competitive till we got injured. So
Yeah.
let's
Right, but stuff changes based on
Agreed.
Yeah.
But,
We're just showing how
You got to think Chase Young. I mean, you can't re-sign him at this point,
we're just showing how
not for any money.
how
No,
paper thin.
he's played himself into a below Davenport,
Well,
like a
and he's going to go. He's going to go to a team that has a strong pass rusher on the opposite side to try to get that contract. Adebo, he's coming off that injury, so he's not going to get paid. I mean, probably 50-50
I'll
on
be
whether he
honest with
comes
you. I
back
could see
here.
him bringing Chase Young back on another 1 year deal. I could see him doing it, just to fill a hole for another year. They're not going to pay him. He's not going to get paid anywhere.
No, he's not.
So-
No, he'll get another 1 year prove it deal.
It's going to be a 1 year, 8, 10, somewhere in
if
there.
you're a defensive
just like
end,
Davenport.
You're
just
always
got-
getting those
you-
chances, chance after chance.
and you want to go to a team that at
a
least shows
strong
that
line.
when healthy has decent
Yeah.
defensive back play to allow the quarterback to have to pat the ball so you can get back to him.
Yeah.
If I'm him, I want to go somewhere that's got an alpha defensive end pass rusher.
But they got to
already.
want him too, dude. That's the
Yeah.
thing. So
Well, he's one of those people that's so talented that he's always going to get that chance. Kind of like Davenport. Davenport keeps getting contracts, even though he's terrible.
yeah,
You'll
but it's
have-
1 year. What was he? 1 year 7 this year.
I mean, there
that's
are
what I
worse,
think.
there
they're
are
looking-
worse ways to freaking make money than
No,
1 year to
it's
$8
great,
million a
but
clip.
that's all Chase Young's
there
gonna
will
get.
always be a lower level team that has been high in the draft for like the past 3 years that has drafted one of these top edge rushers like a Jaguars.
He's going to be like
you know,
Clowney.
yeah,
Clowney
exactly,
goes from
yeah.
team to team
So,
and makes like
look-
8 to 10 million
Look for
every
him
year.
to go to
Except
Carolina.
Clowney's been all pro, but
He could go to Carolina. He could go to
Has he?
He could go to Jacksonville. You end up with the Browns. Miles Garrett. Jalen.
That's where he needs to go,
Trevon
somewhere like
Walker
that,
with the
yeah.
Jags.
well, Garrett's
You know,
leaving, I think, right? Aren't there all these trade rumors around him all of a
I
sudden?
don't know.
But yeah,
Doesn't matter.
he
But
should. I mean, Young should just go to the Cowboys, get it over with.
I do listen. I do believe Chase Young will take the most money, and no gripe with that. I do think we probably try and make a run to keep him next year for 1 year. We will not sign him on a deal, like any length of deal.
If he's healthy, someone's going to give him a little bit of money. Don't look at the pressures, the empty stat, and say, "Oh yeah, we can put him on our team with this guy, and he'll do better. He'll take the
Maybe,
step."
maybe.
Yeah,
I hate to say, he is basically. I remember when we first talked about it. This is probably back in March, and we talked about Chase Young, and I remember saying, "I'm like, I mean, he's not that great."
I think.
And then I talked myself into it. He attacked his rehab, came back earlier.
Him looking like a dinosaur and like a huge.
When we
like
saw
a, like
him
a
at
mammoth.
the Pels game,
Oh yeah, saw him at the Pels game.
once you and I saw him at the Pels game, at courtside floor level.
when he made Cam Jordan look 5'10". in
Yeah,
the
that
training
was
camp
when I'm like,
photo.
oh,
I don't think
no,
he
he's
had a
gonna be good.
tackle this week.
Yeah. Well,
Cam or
and
Chase.
I'm in Chase.
the worst thing for his season so far happened in that Broncos game, which is him being front and center on camera, getting just ragdoll thrown to the ground by that tackle.
Oh,
I think he got
Jesus.
Chase off balance and whatever, but still,
It looked bad.
It was like a one-handed just shut up. And that's the worst, because it's such a content-driven
It's
league.
perception.
Perception,
and
like
it's the gift that everyone's going to see.
right. Like, is that the way his game went overall? No. Like, he wasn't getting owned every play.
Yeah, it was one
Did he
play.
have an impact? Not really, but it wasn't like that bad. And so that I think honestly that's the worst thing to have happened to him all year for his process.
I'm starting to see
16
why he had the plus 15,000 to win Defensive Player of the Year when I put that bet down.
16 tackles,
Hey.
1.5 sacks this year.
There's a lot of game left, man. He can turn it around.
Well, here's something funny. So our hot take predictions, they're starting to look pretty bad. Yours are the
No,
the-
he's
the
got
10
pending
wins.
at least.
Well,
He's got
the
pending at least.
defense. My hot take about the defense looks horrible.
Oh, mine of Chase Young looks
Yours looks
awful.
horrible.
Yeah.
I said the defense would be top 5. That's horrible.
Is that better or worse than last?
Because
they are last
I don't
right
know,
now, I
Nick.
think.
I'm not good at math. That sounds complicated. But
They're the worst right now.
but my Trevor Penning is looking pretty good.
that one's looking good.
And
Yeah, you got that one. I'll give you that.
Forget
one.
I made a bonus Bub Means
See if I can find
that he would
Hold
be.
on. What was your lock of the week? I forgot.
Oh, my lock of the week actually hit for the Broncos.
Yeah, but it didn't hit.
It was that there would be a reverse blown up in the backfield. Our reverse was blown up in the backfield.
Yeah.
And that we would have a defensive touchdown. The Broncos had a defensive touchdown.
You said number 1 scoring defense, actually.
Sure.
Not top 5. You said
Yeah.
number 1.
Sure.
Ooh.
That's not can't possibly happen now.
You had AK in the Pro Bowl. That started out pretty good. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen now.
And Penning.
Taysom 1,000 yards.
I said wait combined. I think I said
Either way, he ain't close.
it was a AK Taysom combining to over a certain yardage. I think I wrote it down in my notes app.
Well, surely you would have picked more than 1,000 total
Yeah.
yards.
It was more than 1,000 between the two of them, but
No, there was. It was.
it was AK.
There's no way you only would have.
AK and
that.
Taysom were into the same hot take. I thought.
Max had 12 TDs for Taysom in the Pro Bowl. I had Chase Young. Well, Max had 19 sacks and lead the league.
Oh wait, you're saying my hot take was just AK.
None of our hot take. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. That's right.
I said Carr 4,200 and 30. He's played for. What was he on pace for? He's probably on pace for.
He threw.
He
for
was. He was on pace for 30.
He threw for like 220 in the first game,
But not 4,200. He was on pace for, I think, 3,800 and about 30. But when he got hurt,
Yeah, he was throwing for like 220 yards a game. He wasn't hitting
Yeah.
4,200.
right? He was
Yeah.
on pace for like 3,800.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But he was on pace for close to 30 touchdowns because he had 8 before he got injured. Olave, I had 1,408. We're not getting anywhere near that. Chase Young, 12.5 sacks. Not getting anywhere near that. And I had Brazil 8 sacks. That could still actually happen.
Yeah,
And
He has
actually,
yeah, you could get that.
4. He has 4, but he's played terribly.
My bonus one was the Bub Means being third wide receiver by the end of the year.
Well, I mean, that's happening by default.
That's
You
happening
did
by
it. You
default.
did it via
Yeah.
injury. Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course, he'll probably get hurt by the end of the year, and somebody else will be third.
right.
Yeah.
I thought it would be more him performing his way into it, but it's looking more like,
So the big question is, with who we know is coming back the next 2 weeks, does the outlook of where we're at change at all, or no?
For me, no, because the defense is just getting run the fuck over the last week. and a
yeah.
half.
Until I can see the defense shore up the run game specifically.
With
And-
Werner back, you're saying it doesn't change that?
No,
Because
because
that's
you're,
the question.
you're rolling into the Chargers with Harbaugh.
because
They're going to fucking run the ball.
a
50
bad
times.
defensive line like kind of corrupts your linebackers' ability to do what they do best.
Yeah,
you're,
I agree. I'm just saying what we saw before
So-
him and after him
It'll
are two different
it'll
things. So
improve with Warner. In
I'll
the
say
lineup,
this: the
but-
value of his contract skyrockets if all of a sudden we look good on defense against the run again,
Yeah,
and
I
it
mean,
correlates with him being
I'm gonna tell you
out.
this: if he comes back and the run defense goes back to the first couple games,
Yeah,
that's
that
going to be.
contract is-
that helps. Yeah,
I don't know that it will. I'm just
I don't
just
think it
saying,
will.
If it turns out he means that much, that would be pretty crazy
But-
to me.
but this is where
we all like him. You love him. We all like him.
when you
I
talk
don't-
about the outlook and the defense, yeah, they have to stop the run. But yeah, one thing we haven't really talked about with the offensive woes is that you've got a run heavy, like not run heavy, but like run first offense with Kubiak. That's just what he does. So when you have your 3 interior linemen not there,
right, and they're back.
you're not going to be able to
Except
do it.
for
So
one.
like if we can find a way to at least like get, because even with the banged up squad we had, we were like 80 yards rushing, I think. So like, which is not good, but it's not that far away from 100. We've had Carmichael games where we had like 30 or 40 yards rushing. So like if we can get it back to over 100 a game just to keep the opposing defense honest, keep the play action on the table, because they weren't respecting the play action for anything.
I'll say that.
I think that's more the quarterback. I think if Carr would have played and been healthy the last 2 weeks,
That's where I'm at with the whole team right now.
I think we would have been.
How
I think the offense would have. We wouldn't be sitting here harping on the offensive line as much because I feel like he can manufacture. I'm talking about
Carr could have
Kubiak.
made it look
I'm talking
better,
about Kubiak. Kubiak can scheme around things, and I think with a veteran quarterback who's been around and seen these things that they were throwing at him, I think the performance is better.
But I mean, like, we have to be able to be better at
Not
running.
saying he's throwing 300 yards and 4 touchdowns.
I'm saying
but
regardless of who's at quarterback, we have to be better at running the ball in
I
order
hear you.
to make the play
But I'm going
action
to say, if
believable.
Carr's not in there, I don't think we have a chance.
yeah,
Not yet. But I do think those previous 2 games look vastly different
Yeah.
if Carr is there. And I'm not saying we definitely win them. I'm just saying those games don't look like that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have.
that's where I'm at with it. I think it's a whole different ball game if Carr would have played.
Now, if he were back for the Chargers and we're getting all the people we discussed back, my outlook might change a little.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Rattler, my outlook does not change because he's going to make a mistake or two.
He's a walking sack.
And that is a very good defense. Very, very good defense.
Yeah.
They gave up. They just gave up. Kind of got hosed in the game last night, and got a loss from Arizona when they ran up and down the field in Arizona and shut Arizona down. Then a couple iffy penalties, both against them, one on offense, one on defense, on back-to-back series. Next thing you know, a screen pass busted for 30. They kick a winning field goal and they lose. They are not going to beat themselves, but they're not a runaway team either. So if we had Carr, I wouldn't be.
I'd feel a lot better.
I'd feel 10 times better.
Yeah, I would too.
With the other guys coming back, meaning Olave's back, Taysom's back, Ruiz is back. You get all that back and Carr, I think we would have a shot.
Have a chance. Yeah.
I will feel better, but again, for me, until that defense shows it can cure its issues or at least cut the rushing yardage in half, then even with Carr and them back there, we could still get hosed.
But
I would feel better if Carr would play.
I'd still feel better with Carr than Rattler or Haener or even anybody they bring in off the street. I'd still feel like Carr gives you the best chance. But if the defense can't figure it out on the run defense, then it's going to be uphill.
It goes back to what I was saying after Carr originally got hurt.
Yeah.
And remember, we all gave our take on what we would do, in the situation. And mine was, I think you said it too, if Taysom were healthy, I would have fucking rolled with Taysom over
Would you do that this week?
Or Haener.
Do you do it this week?
I would.
Season's over. If not, right? It's probably already over. We all said if we lose all 3 of those games, it's probably over. I'm leaning that way. We did just watch Carolina, Tampa, and Atlanta all get blown off the field this weekend. So what does that mean? I don't know. Tampa took huge injuries too.
Yeah.
Atlanta didn't. Atlanta's still pretty healthy.
They just got owned.
They got owned. They did. Seattle it was close for a half, and then Seattle just
at home too.
ran right over them.
We all knew Rattler wasn't ready. We knew Haener. We don't. I guess we haven't seen the tangible proof that Haener's not ready, but I feel pretty confident saying Haener's probably not ready either.
Yeah, they're not ready.
They're just not ready to be thrown in this situation. It's a shit situation.
They're not ready to the point of making you feel confident that they can win a game. Can they give you a chance if everything goes right? Sure, maybe.
Yeah.
But
Rattler's been a walking sack.
Now,
literally, he's a sitting duck. Back
I will
even though he's rolling out.
obviously look. It's funny because Nick talked about Spencer getting David Card, and I was like, I don't think he's going to get David Card.
Shit.
But with the linemen that were in front of him in the Broncos game, if that continues to be his protection, and the surprising thing from the last game was that Fuaga had a bad game. Mm-hmm. He was letting dudes come by him like crazy. And some of Rattler's worst plays were from pressure coming from his blind side. So that was surprising. So if you got a bad play out of Fuaga, which maybe it's once in a blue moon, and you've got the second and third string guys on the interior positions, then Rattler's not equipped to
I think a veteran quarterback, that offense looks better the last 2 weeks.
Right, because the veteran quarterback has had more experience.
Has seen it.
We can say, Rattler played at South Carolina and he was running for his life at South Carolina.
That's apples and oranges.
That's college.
Yeah.
Running for your life in SEC, and then there's
It's not like he was winning a ton of games at South Carolina.
If running for
that's
your
great,
life,
he was running for his life and losing. That doesn't say a whole lot.
He's used to being pressured in real life, but the NFL compared to that is a nightmare.
Yes.
When you just can't get away from the bad guy.
Look, I think best case scenario is Carr comes back. If it's not this week, then next week, and then we can shelve Rattler and Hayner,
Yeah.
knock on wood, hopefully, until the 2025 offseason. And then hopefully at that point,
Yeah.
we can have ourselves a good old-fashioned quarterback
No, look,
competition.
I'm not going to lie that
They're not ready right now.
I'm not going to lie and say that I'm not curious to see if Rattler would look different with, Ruiz and Patrick up in front of him instead of the guys we had last game. And maybe with a good game out of Fuaga. I do think Rattler would look better, but there's still the risk that you run with any rookie quarterback of, trying to guide the ball in there. Like he has 2 interceptions against Tampa. Like he just tried to guide the ball in there a little too much. You don't really see a veteran. I mean, Carr's made some bad throws too. But
his awareness is not there. It's just not. I'm sorry.
I mean, you just have to see enough in live action before you can have that sixth sense of like.
It's the funniest. It is the funniest thing in the world that our idiot fan base anointed a 5th round pick as the savior 4 months ago.
Yeah,
literally 4 months ago. Like back in July.
He's the antithesis of Carr. I think you have an unpopular quarterback. I don't think they're right to anoint him, but I can see why it happened because you've got a quarterback who's not liked because of his personality. The gameplay, if people looked at his gameplay in a vacuum, it's really, like we've talked about, probably, one of the top Saints quarterbacks we've ever had, besides Brees. Yeah. And so people are disenchanted by who Carr is as a person, the way he talks on the mic and all that stuff.
There's nothing wrong with him as a person. It's just the way he portrays himself.
It's the way he projects himself. And so when you've got that.
But he's 35 touchdowns and 12 picks in the Saints uniform.
Look, he's an 11-year vet. He plays kind of a boring style of quarterback, but it's effective when he's doing well. And then.
Boring's good, though.
Right. I mean, like, boring is fine. But so you take that, and then you take Rattler, who's like this young kid. He's exciting. He's a go-getter. Even on the mic, he's like, intense and whatever. He's just the opposite of Carr in so many ways. And people just, I think we're just thirsting for that and turning a blind eye to like the X's and O's of it. And so I think that's how the anointing happened. Now it's that, he didn't have a good he had the worst offensive line possible.
The goalposts are going to continually
So
move.
That's why he didn't play well.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, we
don't need to get into that. It's just hilarious that it happened.
Yeah.
But so you've got 2 4-3 teams. We're 2-5. Panthers 1-6. Any path to getting back in it?
The Bucs are ravaged by injuries
because our division's so bad. I mean, and there's enough games left. If you would have asked that question if we had like 6 games left, I'd say no. But with the same winning percentage, but.
I'm feeling the same thing as last year. That's why I'm saying that. I think we're going to get healthy. We're going to go on a run. It's probably too late. I think we're going to rattle off some games.
Yeah, and somehow get the 11th or 12th
We're
pick.
setting up perfectly for too little too
We're
late.
going to be right there. Maybe it comes down to that last Bucs game because it's the last game of the season. Is that right? Maybe.
I think so, yeah.
But I don't think you can go 2-6 and think that. And I don't think we can go into L.A. and win either. So I don't know where I think if there's a way to get back in.
So
it. 2-6, then you need to go 8-1 to go 10-7, and that's the guarantee. 10-7's winning this division. Okay.
Well, I think
9-8 might.
9-8 ain't happening.
9-8 very well could.
8-1 ain't happening. Exactly.
Right, and even if you're saying, 9-8 can win it, it's like, all right, fine. So what?
7-2.
7-2 ain't
Good
happening.
luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
With this team,
right?
In this economy,
that's what I'm saying. So
7-10 feels like the ceiling for me.
Now you somehow beat them. And again, we're not making a prediction. We don't even know who's really playing.
Falcons, Panthers, Browns.
You got Panthers next, then Falcons. You beat Panthers, then the Falcons game becomes the season. I think Panthers is at next.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
So if somehow some miracle happens, you beat San Diego, just projecting forward, then you get the Panthers. Okay, you got to at least think we're favored in that game. And then you get the Falcons at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then guess who comes to the Dome?
I don't know.
Jameis.
Oh, Jameis, yeah, that's true. Is he definitely starting, did they say? Because he didn't come in.
But Watson's out for the...
I know, but they put in the other
guy. They put in the
Thompson.
other guy. Jameis was 3.
Thompson. Well, maybe it won't be Jameis.
Yeah, we'll see. It'd be fun if it was Jameis.
I want to see Jameis.
DTR is probably better than Jameis, if we're being honest.
He's mobile, so it's trouble.
Probably. Yeah.
So...
Another overrated quarterback that people were freaking out about and pining for last year. because we will grasp onto the shittiest players and think that they're the saviors.
When they're
Not
just-
saying Rattler's shitty,
Well,
but
if Deshaun's your guy, I think it's more justified than if Carr's your guy.
It's just
no, absolutely.
the fan
absolutely.
bases that want something different are thirsting for something different than what they have. Nobody wants the
Yeah,
boring.
different ain't always better.
Jameis's take was pretty
not
rough. to
saying
listen
they're
to.
right, but our fan base clearly.
I just want to win. I don't give a fuck how boring the quarterback is.
Yeah.
Drew was boring his last couple of years.
He's
dink,
incredible.
dunk, dink, dunk. Yeah, but it was a boring style of play.
There's still Drew
and it was
Brees.
great. But
Anyway,
I think we rambled on enough.
yeah, we're pretty good at that.
Yeah. You want to? Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, we can wrap it up. Coming at you next with our predictions for the Chargers game. We talked about it a little bit here, but our official predictions and the second edition of some special segment that some guy does where he acts like an ass.
That's the whole episode.
And for our picks, everyone
locks.
got 0 points, so it's still 7 for me, 3 for Max, 2 for Corey.
Ugh.
We're not good at this. I mean, I think we got to be honest. It's pretty rough. I mean,
That's probably the most spot on you've been with anything. I'll
Well,
give it
he's low key.
this season. That's
you realize
another
we've made between the three of us 63 picks.
don't
And
do
we've
it-
got
don't
12
do math.
points.
Don't
we've
do
got
math.
12,
Don't do it like
we've
that.
got 12 correct
God.
assessment. Okay.
Don't
Don't listen because we don't know what we're talking about.
We're gonna turn around. We're gonna
just
turn
like
around.
with Chris Godwin, like when the injury is so bad, they don't show the replay on TV. Don't show us our replay. That shit's terrible to look at.
All right, and with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up this episode. Thank you for listening to the 28-3 podcast. Who dat?
Who dat?